All right, so I'm just go ahead and get started. All right.
Sure, yes. Hello.
All right. Okay. Well, hey, it's the Advocate, and today I have a pleasure of interviewing a colleague of mine, and she is an activities coordinator, and her name is Melanie Buscotti, correct?
Buscuiti, but either one
Buscuiti,
sounds good.
Buscuiti, Melanie Buscuiti, and she is a lively person, a very energetic person, and she brings a lot of skill sets to her patients. Welcome, Melanie, to the CJ Cares podcast. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me. This is wonderful. I'm doing very well. It's Friday, so that helps.
Definitely. Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you is because I observed you with patients, and I see your style with them, and I see that they're very receptive towards you. So before I even get started, I wanted to ask you a few icebreaker questions. That's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
And so I know that we're in the change of seasons. We're going into fall. What is your favorite season? Which season is your favorite?
I'm definitely a warm weather summer girl because I like to just be outside and catch the sunrises and the sunsets. But I like the fall because we can get comfy and enjoy the colors of nature. Yeah.
Definitely. Now, a lot of times I like to debate between phone services. You know, a lot of people have iPhones and a lot of people have Samsungs. Which team
Yeah.
are you on?
Okay, so I am an iPhone, and I have Verizon, but they're all the same.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
I won't debate on you on that because it's personal choice, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Now, like I said, we had a change of season. Did you have a good summer?
I had a wonderful summer. I just try to look at it as working, well, working full time, but working year round. We're not one of those folks that like could have the summers off. So I make the most of it. It was very nice. I hope you had a nice one.
Thank you. And what would you say would be your favorite trip during the summertime? What is your favorite travel location?
I really like exploring Long Island. I know it sounds weird because we're from here, but usually most people on Long Island, they don't really travel, like even just drive and just catch some places. So if I'm local, it's Fire Island. There's just something special about those beaches. And if I was to go somewhere, which I really haven't gone much, it would probably be a Caribbean island somewhere because I'm sure, I catch some nice sunsets.
Definitely. And if you had to name a theme song for yourself,
Oh,
what would that song be if you could think of one?
I always appreciate when there's a song playing and then see someone walking with music. I'm like, that's your theme song. That's really funny that you asked that.
Yeah.
I know this sounds weird, and it's probably my history, but like, The Greatest Showman. This is the greatest show. I don't know. That just came to my mind right now.
Right. I'm gonna have to look
Probably
at.
feel sorry about saying that, but no.
No, man. Hey, look, I'm gonna have to look that one up. I've never heard of it, so but it's all good. I think every superhero needs a theme song, and as a healthcare worker, we're all superheroes. So I just wanted to know what your personal theme song was.
I think it's
So
appropriate because sometimes I feel like a circus performer.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Now, Melanie, like I said, you are activities coordinator. How did you get into this field?
So, my background is started art education.
Hmm.
So I did a lot of art through painting. And while I was going to be an art teacher, I found art therapy,
Hmm.
which is a master's program that I went through. And I was lucky enough when I graduated at Hofstra to get scooped up at the hospital in 2007. And it was an opening. It was an activity specialist. And that's how I got into, I've been at the hospital for 14 years. I'm sure I'm jumping, but that's how I came into this role here at the hospital as an activity specialist.
Okay. Now, when you were undergrad, where did you go to school?
So undergrad, I went to New Paltz for art ed.
Okay.
Went to Nassau Community, then New Paltz.
Okay. Now, when you were early in that stage, in those stages of your life, did you know that this is what you were going to end up being, or was it something more broader than this?
I actually, I mean, I've gone to therapy my whole life, but I never thought I was going to be a therapist. I knew I wanted to do something that, something with art. So I went for teaching, and, there's one art therapist in a school out of like 1,000. I knew I wanted to work with kids and use art and maybe be, coming into like an art therapist in a school eventually. So then it kind of took me to where I am now.
Okay.
I never thought
Now,
I'd work psych in a hospital, but I'm meant to be there.
right. And now, is there any specialized training that is specific to working in a hospital setting?
So, in my role at the hospital, like I said, we're activity specialists. So you need at least a bachelor's in either recreation, psychology, um, anything that allows you to maybe like run sessions. And or you could be an art therapist, but art therapy you need, and to call yourself an art therapist you don't need a master's. So there could be a bachelor's in art therapy that you can work at the hospital, or a master's in art therapy. But at the hospital, for activity specialists, you don't need a master's, you need a bachelor's.
Okay. Now, how do you organize activities that are tailored to the needs of individuals that come on a unit in the hospital?
Okay, that's a great question. I could probably spend an hour on that. But so I'm right now on child psych, and we have 15. Our max would be 15 patients. So it's always, it depends on who's on the unit. We always kind of plan. So whether the patients come in or that day, we have a typical understanding of what they will all benefit from, but then it depends on their mood and what's going on. So we always think of something that we can build up their self-esteem, something that they can master, something that won't really frustrate them, unless that's our goal, to increase some frustration, to allow for some frustration tolerance, to support them in working through something in like a supportive setting. But as an activity specialist, we do both art and recreation therapy. So it could be a day that we feel that our patients are not in the mood to do art, or maybe just the dynamics of the unit isn't conducive.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
It's not conducive to maybe like bringing out art materials. So we'll play a game, like a social game, something that gets them to do teamwork, something that gets them outside of their shell. A lot of times with child psych, a lot of them come in from just isolating themselves, playing video games, not really getting that social experience, and it's uncomfortable for them. Self-esteem. Not feeling that they can even play. A lot of them give up because they feel like they can't do it or they fail. So our games, we try to support them without them even realizing it's something therapeutic. So we'll do trivia, or we'll do little challenges. We have like, everybody has their strengths, everybody has what different things, the different diagnoses. So
Hmm.
it's impossible to reach them all in every single group, but we manage throughout like the different groups that we do in the day.
Right. And how do you offer care and support through the activities that is provided?
So we go off like the team has their goals with, if they come in, if someone is had some suicide attempts and they're just feeling low, and then we might have patients that are substance abuse. We try to make it individualized with, like, when we do individual sessions. If we feel that maybe a group setting, we need to like break it down to individual. I really focus on building up like a positive self-talk. They're so negative on themselves, and social media and parents. It's not easy being a parent, but
Yeah.
a lot of them come through and they don't have that positive reinforcement.
Hmm.
Either if they're doing something not, that their parents don't want, or even some of them do do good, but their parents don't always give them that reinforcement, or their friends, or they're not getting that. So we try to really start with when they first come in on the unit, just building up like where is their value for themselves, like how do they value themselves. If they're there, they're struggling with that. So we kind of start our sessions with understanding, um, just reframing, like, okay, they feel something that they're not happy about. How can we replace it? So a lot of our art sessions, will have them focus on what they're struggling with, and then we try to manipulate it either through manipulating the materials or through conversation, of how they can reframe their thoughts. And ideally, I love to build one group onto the other. It doesn't always happen, but it's great when it does. That we can say, remember what we talked about last session about growth? Well, now we're going to take that growth that we're working on and we're going to build a tree. I do a lot of stuff with nature, and it's kind of like that, which I can go more into.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, what challenges make it difficult to provide the quality activities for the patients?
I think the biggest thing is sometimes this. I try not to let the structure of the unit, just because our art room is off the unit and we try to do stuff like on the unit. It depends if what kids can get along with each other. So like those are the typical daily things that we struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, what was the question? I'm like going on.
No, I was just asking you what challenges make it difficult,
Okay.
to provide services. Mhm.
I think we do really well with when we have them on the unit and what groups we do. They really respond to us because we listen. Not that the other staff doesn't listen, but it is our job to listen, to take in, to then have them produce and talk. So the biggest thing is then when we set them up for discharge, or not us, but when they are being set up to discharge and they go home, that's kind of like, how do we get them to like understand that they can functionally do what they're doing with us in the hospital when they leave. So I feel like that's the biggest struggle that, we get. Like, okay, so they're, for example, if I have them do like mindfulness, breathing, self-awareness, that's like a tangible tool that they don't need a lot of materials to do. They can ground themselves, they can settle themselves. So how do I get them to feel that they can actually do that when they go home? That's a lot. Oh, that's always on my mind because, they're only with us for a little bit.
Right.
Sometimes longer than others. But I think that's the biggest struggle. Like, how do we make it like personal for them? How do we get them to make connections? How do we get past them just saying that they're bored? I hate that word.
Right, I do too.
People say that they have trigger words. I
Mhm.
feel like I have more power than that, but bored. After I do like something therapeutic with them that they've been, busy for an hour, it's boredom. How do I get past that boredom?
Right.
So it's
That's
a lot of different dynamics, but
right. Now, do you factor in, the patient's cultural background when preparing for them?
yeah. So when a patient comes in, beyond like what the nurses and the doctors give, do the evals and they check in with them, we have our own eval. So we sit with them. Typically, I give them a day. So like the next day or two, just to settle them in. We have our questions. We ask like if they're spiritual, like how would it help you in the hospital? If they relate to any kind of religion, we make sure that they know that they can always ask. And then we'll, working under the parameters that we have on the unit with safety, we just ask them like, how can we help you make sure that you're maintaining, the respect of, either your religion or your practice, or if it's, it comes with, gender, which is a whole other topic, which we really do try to support and highlight those beliefs as well as culturally. It's all about safety. So if there's something we can't do, we try to, adapt it as much as we can. So it's acknowledging it.
Definitely. Now, I know we're coming, dealing with this pandemic, dealing with COVID and things of that nature. Do you find that there are some new trends that you're seeing in the field as it relates to our current times?
Yeah. So during the summertime in past times, we were always like light on the unit. There wasn't a lot of kids. I feel like since I've been there, I feel like there's always like 14 or 50. The shift of COVID, it actually didn't seem to be, other than us all wearing masks, it didn't seem to be the talk on the unit of the kids. They were kind of happy to be there, almost like they were like stuck in their house. And like, so that dynamic didn't start shifting until it was like wearing a little bit, maybe after the year. And I kind of actually took what helped me to bring it to the kids. And I feel like the rhetoric and the word of like mindfulness, shifting your energy, meditation. So I started doing like a grounding mindful meditation with the patients. Every Sunday I do a stretching with them. And then before we do our sessions, I center them. I tell them to let go of everything that's outside of the room here. And they seem to really respond to that, because, there's so much things that, with them wearing the masks and having to stay in and their limited engagements on the outside, it's overwhelming. So we try to let them focus on what they can control. And I feel like the kids have been really responding to that. And especially, it's hard to like, meditate and breathe with a mask. But then we try to, have them think about, well, that's on the outside. You really need to focus on like the inside and that change of perception. So that, as I'm talking to my colleagues, like a lot of anxieties that people never had, the COVID effect. So how can we allow them to find themselves and settle themselves up with the constant anxiety and vibrations that are, in the world for all of us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to ask you a question. Dealing with COVID, there's a mandate for all the hospital workers to be vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're beyond the cutoff date, and we're starting to see healthcare workers not at work. And what are your thoughts on the mandate?
Well, I feel like maybe I'm in a bubble on the unit because I personally don't. Maybe I know of one staff member that didn't like hasn't been at work. Other than that, I know some coworkers who did get the shot. I mean, I'm all about personal rights. I got the vaccine. I feel like that's my part. It doesn't feel right to force, anybody to do anything that is not, I don't, their choice above, safety. It's a hot topic, and our kids, they tell us sometimes when they're vaccinated, the 12-year-olds or older, the staff, it's not really a thing that is necessarily fully talked about, I guess, on the unit. And like I said, I feel like I'm in a bubble there. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. I understand where, people are coming from with that. What I try to do is, I guess, what helped me through the COVID experience, I actually became even more spiritual with connecting to the universe and Mother Nature and the Father Sky, and so when the outside world was, at that time, like, I felt like it was falling apart, and I refused to let that take me with it. So I really connected to the earth, and I was like, the earth's not going to let me down. I'm going to connect, and I'm going to just connect to my higher power, not necessarily religious. And when I speak to the patients, I don't necessarily bring up God. I know that's, unless a patient brings it up, whatever your higher power is. So the way that I talk and my rhetoric with my patients is also with my staff. I try to say, like, we have to take care of ourselves. Just ground yourself, like, do some meditation so that when the things are going on around you and, like, you can't let it take you down.
Now, obviously, you need a lot of patience to do this job, a lot of kindness showing towards other individuals. What do you do to take care of yourself, after such a grueling work week?
I talk to my coworkers, or I talk to, myself in a good way, just to kind of work through, the day. I think self-care is so important, seeing somebody doing meditation, doing some stretching. Our fields of work, I mean, I guess if you're working in a hospital setting, you're working with people's emotions and feelings anyway. When you're working in psychiatry, they're just out. Like everybody's feelings or emotions are out. So I think it's important that I have adapted this, mindfulness new way of centering and not almost building up a shield to be in the space where people are having a hard time and not take it in. So I have my, routines, but that's probably good for another podcast.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, it's constant. And I talk to my coworkers. If there was a hard patient, we may like just kind of talk about different ideas, like laugh, like about how what we did or whatever. And just to kind of get through it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Melanie, I just wanted to highlight you as one of the colleagues of mine that I know is going hard every day, working hard to make the patients stay in admittance at the hospital as
Mhm.
much pleasurable as is possible given the nature of the environment.
Yeah.
And I know that you and your team work very hard. So I wanted to give you a kudos. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to
Thank
interview
you.
you, because I think that every discipline amongst the psychiatry department is very important, all the way down to the janitor. Okay, so I wanted to give you your kudos, and I wanted to acknowledge you as a superhero in the healthcare field. What advice would you give someone who wanted to join your field?
Well, if it's something that I am very fortunate that I love what I do, and if anybody's in any job, we always have to deal with the politics and the red tape and everything like that. But if you enjoy, um, you know, uh, caring for others and engaging people in activities and therapists and therapies, in my role, it would be you could be a recreational therapist to be there if you like, helping others do, social skills. On my end, being an art therapist, it's a master's program, and you learn the connection between psychology and the mind and the materials of the art. So I would say just like understand that if this is something that you like to do, then just go for it. And the hospital settings, I've been very fortunate. I've been there 14 years, so just try it, and if you enjoy it, then it's meant to be for you. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Melanie, I just want to thank you for allowing me to
Thank you,
interview you,
Carlisle. I
and
appreciate it.
and to highlight what you do and what your team members do as well. And as we hope that you and your family remain safe. All of us remain safe throughout this time.
Yeah.
And I definitely would like for you to contribute in the future, because I think art therapy and having activities. People need extra ideas. So I just want to say that I know that this is not the last chapter in your career, and I know that the best is yet to come.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and this is great that you're doing this because
Mhm.
we don't do our job for thanks, but it is nice to get acknowledged, and yeah, kudos. So good for you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you for all the hard work, and thank you for joining CJ Cares podcast.
Thank you. Be well, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.